Hello, this is David Gallagher, and welcome to Soul Steps. Once again, this is not the normal set. I'm still in day 7 of my quarantine for COVID, but had something interesting happen the other night. 4 or 5 nights ago that I thought was interesting and that I wanted to bring highlight to. I am staying at my sister's house, and I have an adjoining bedroom, and she could hear during the night. I had gone to bed some hours earlier, quite early, because this just knocks you silly. But in my sleep, she could hear me praying. And every so often, she'd hear an "Oh God." She'd hear a "Dear God." And then the rest of it was pretty much unintelligible. She couldn't understand what I was saying. And yet, it was very clear to her I was praying. And I guess today, what I'm glad to hear, that even in my sleep time for my physical body, my spirit, the part of me created to communicate with God, was still fully awake and conscious and engaged and praying. And what that tells me is that the condition of my spirit is good, in that when the rest of me is shut down, my soul, that's my personality, my mind, will, and emotions, and my physical body are resting and sleeping, the God-shaped part of me is still awake and alert and communing with Him. I wanted to just ask you today to consider, what is the condition of your spirit? Are you close enough to God that when you are asleep, physically asleep, your spirit is still communing with the Lord? If it is, that's a really healthy sign about your spiritual life. In the scriptures in Romans 8, verses 26 and 27, it says, "The Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit Himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And He who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God." Now, because I was not consciously awake in my soul and my body, I couldn't put my brain into action to come up with words to pray. My spirit was interceding and praying to the Lord in accordance with God's will. I wasn't overthinking anything or trying to get the right words. Apparently, my spirit was just going under the direction of the Holy Spirit, and I was communing with the Lord. You know, the science says that we spend about 26 years of our life sleeping. And get this, about 7 more years of that is trying to get to sleep. So that's like 33 years of this life we're laid out physically. And yet, isn't it wonderful when we know the Lord, that the spirit part of us can keep communing with Him even during sleep hours? I just want to encourage you, practice prayer in the daytime. Practice prayer during your waking moments. Increase the number of minutes per day that you pray. And by doing so, you're going to be conditioning your spirit so that when you're not awake, your spirit's just going to keep on praying and communing with God for your good and the good of the people around you. God bless you.